Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to this full moon in Aries video. I'm just going to wait for some people to join. I also would really appreciate your feedback about the audio because I'm a little bit unsure. I'm hearing it through the headphones. I'm not too sure. So, yes, welcome. How are you doing today? Are you having a nice weekend so far? Hi, Danielle. Welcome. How are you doing? I hope you're having a nice weekend. And also, I just want to know your feedback about the audio. Are you hearing me clearly? Is the sound okay? I changed a couple things around just differently to how I usually do it. So I'm just checking to see if it sounds okay. Full moon in Aries is coming on the 29th of September. So that's not for another 2 weeks or so, but we're here. We're doing it early. Audio is fine. Okay, great. Hi, Devin. Hi. And Lottie, hi as well. Thank you for letting me know about the audio. Okay, so I hope you are having a good weekend so far. It is a Sunday. Yes, it is a Sunday. It's very, very rainy here in Belfast. So we're going to get into this presentation. Full moon in Aries happening on the 29th of September. So before we do get into it, I just want to make you aware of what I offer. So you can find ebooks, guides, cheat sheets, merch. I offer readings, of course, as well. You can access these things over at hannahselsewhere.com. You can book a reading with me if you would like. And my products are also available on Etsy, the digital products. And if you have not joined Patreon yet, okay, you can join Patreon for as little as £2 per month. It's a great way to support the channel, to support the content. And you'll also gain access to the Discord, behind the scenes videos, early access to videos, PDF guides related to videos. So yeah, you can head on over to Patreon. So it's just Hannah's Elsewhere. The links are down below. But yeah, it's a really great way to support the channel. Thank you so much to my patrons who are already supporting. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so these are some of the aspects that we're going to be diving into today. So, of course, with the full moon happening in Aries, well, this is going to happen at 6 degrees, and Pallas will actually oppose the moon, and Pallas will also conjunct the sun in Libra. So, we're not in Libra season yet, but it's coming, right? So, from the 23rd of September, 22nd, 23rd of September, we're going to be entering Libra season. So, happy autumn equinox, everyone. We're approaching this autumn equinox, and happy spring equinox to those of you in the southern hemisphere. So as I say, yes, Pallas will be in Libra. Pallas is in Libra currently. It just entered Libra actually. So there will be that conjunction to the sun. So we're going to touch on that. We're also going to touch on how Vesta will make a trine to Ceres. So Vesta will be in Cancer, Ceres will be in Scorpio. And then Saturn retrograde in Pisces at 1 degree. Okay, so it's traveling all the way back to 0 degrees. And then it's going to turn direct again around, I believe it's November time. Okay, so with that being said, there will be a water grand trine happening during this full moon. So we're going to get into that as well. Venus will also conjunct Juno and square Uranus at 22 degrees. So notice here that Venus, Juno, and Uranus will all be at 22 degrees. So that's quite an interesting one, actually, which we're going to get into because those degrees, of course, are quite potent because they're the same. And then if we look over to the right-hand side of this chart, notice how Saturn retrograde will oppose Lilith. So Lilith will be in Leo during this full moon at 29 degrees. It will make its final degree before entering Virgo this October. So Lilith is on the move. We're going to touch on that today. And Mercury opposite Neptune, making also a trine to Jupiter retrograde. So Mercury in Virgo, opposite Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is retrograde as well. And then that trine to Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. Then lastly, up top there, we're going to be touching on Mars conjunct the South Node, opposite the North Node, square Pluto retrograde. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, something that has been on my mind quite recently, actually, to do with the moon phases, especially looking at the new moon and the full moons, is that we can really put a spotlight on the full moon. We can also put a spotlight on the new moon, but then everything else around, okay, so every other planet we look at, uh, other points that we explore during the new moons and the full moons, you could kind of look at those as um, sort of fillers, or you could look at them as other components to keep in mind and to correlate with the moons. So basically, the whole point of this is that there's such a focus, right? There's a focus on the full moon, there's a focus on the new moon. And then what we want to do is we want to see how everything else stems from that vocal point. Hello, Eddie. Welcome to you. Hello, DI. Welcome. Yes, Insta. This is Western astrology. I'm a Western astrologer, okay? But yeah, and of course, if you have not already, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, click the notification bell to keep up to date with more videos like this. Eddie, the full moon is taking place in Aries on the 29th of September. So we are a bit early with this video today, but I wanted to get it up earlier. And thank you, Devin, for answering Eddie's question. Okay, so the number 6. Let's think about the number 6 in numerology, okay? So this is a number of comfort, affection. It's a very homey number. It's often said that if you live in a house with the number 6 on it, that you're going to have a pretty pleasing experience in that it's going to feel comforting, it's going to feel homely, homey. It's going to feel, yeah, quite warm and inviting. And the other thing just to say with this is keep in mind that 33 also communicates the same thing, or just any number that makes up the number 6 in numerology. So 24, if you live at number 24, for example, that's going to make up the number 6 as well. So just to give an example sake. So yeah, the number 6, it's tied to affection, comfort, harmony, unity, unconditional love. Eddie, you said you live in number 6 house. Synchronicity, right? Very interesting. There you go. And number 6 is also a number of art and creativity, being very artistic. So keep in mind this number 6. I like to look at numerology in correlation with the full moons and the new moons and degrees and everything, because it's interesting, because it kind of adds another layer to the experience. But then another layer as well to add, if you kind of think of it like a cake, right? You're adding all these layers on top of the cake. But another layer is that the number 6, okay, the degree of, so the number 6 degree correlates with Virgo. Okay, so this is a Virgo degree if we were to consider astrology here. So we want to also remember that during this full moon, there's going to be some analyzing happening, possibly overthinking, possibly wanting to support, wanting to help, wanting to assist, and also perhaps asking for support and assistance from others, even though we may not want to. But we're going to talk more about this, okay, throughout this live stream, because, of course, the other thing is that Vesta will also be in Cancer during this full moon, okay? And keep in mind that the moon does rule Cancer within astrology. But anyway, full moons also, what do they represent? What you do during full moon? Well, what we do is we reset, we release, we shed old skin. Anything that so if you can imagine, you're collecting things, right? You're just collecting a lot of energy or experiences or memories, or there's something that's on your mind and you're just piling things on and on and on, right? So everything comes to this climax, so to speak. Everything is filled up and then what you can do is you can shed, you can let go, you can release, you can gain clarity. Things become illuminated. There's epiphanies, there's realizations, you reap rewards. You're like, oh my gosh, I've been putting so much effort into this thing for so long, for months and months and months. And then, boom, the full moon comes. And yeah, sure, it may not happen on the day, but there's something about the full moon that says, okay, do you see how you're blessed? Do you see the rewards? Do you see the fruits of your labor? And of course, we got to keep in mind Aries, right? So this is a full moon in Aries, and Aries is strongly about leadership and drive and doing the things that we're passionate about and taking charge, being direct, being bold, being forthright, being adventurous, being a go-getter, being a daredevil. So if you can imagine then the types of rewards you'll be reaping around this full moon, which again, we're going to get more into this. But the last thing I want to say with this actually on this slide is this is also the Aries degree in that. So if we think about deacons, this full moon is happening within the decan of Aries during a full moon in Aries. So this further highlights just the significance tied to the significance of the Aries archetype. And this leads me on to these Aries keywords, okay? In that, so we want to think about what Aries is like and the types of characteristics or how it can show up in our lives. And so, yeah, this full moon then is strongly linked to our courage and our bravery and times when we've been bold, times when we've been asked to assert ourselves and to be honorable, to be honorable toward the ones that we care about and also being honorable toward ourselves. And as I said earlier, this thing of being a leader, being able to lead your life forward, being able to step up, being able to stand up or to defend yourself, being protective, being able to protect your identity. Or, with this being a full moon, of course, this could be where it's like, where is it that you may be too defensive? Because there's that. It could be that you're so caught up in your own independence and being like hyper independent, just overly independent, where you're like, I don't need help from anyone and I'm tough and I'm brave and I don't need anybody in my life. Or why does everyone try to interfere or get in the way? Well, maybe there's something there that's to be looked at more closely with greater compassion and empathy. Or maybe this is about being somewhat more honest with ourselves and saying, hey, you know what? I don't have to do this all on my own. And I do think that Mars, which of course is the dispositor of this full moon, let's remember that. So Mars rules Aries in astrology, and Mars will be in Libra, the opposite sign. So, Mars in Libra actually is kind of coming along and saying you don't have to carry this load on your own. Again, we're going to talk more about this. But yeah, basically, this is a full moon where we may release a few attitudes or beliefs tied to being hyper independent and this individual where it's like I'm on an island or I'm going to run away to my own secluded place and nobody disturb me ever, and it's just trying to ask ourselves where can that be stemming from, what is going on internally there. Then again, it could even be, of course, we got to think about this in terms of context, in terms of your own life and how this energy shows up in your own life. But it could be that there are certain times when you're considering, right, I sacrifice myself too much. I sacrifice my own needs too much. And this Aries full moon is a great opportunity to have a good hard look at ourselves as well and to go, where do I actually need to put myself first more? Or how can I maybe be somewhat more concerned about what I need rather than worrying about what everybody else needs? Because that's the thing about the Mars and Libra energy, and even the South Node being there too. That can highlight just this walking on eggshells, um, keeping the peace for too long, trying to get along with people and cooperate. But no matter what we do. It's just like we're constantly hitting a wall and people just aren't getting it. So the full moon in Aries can actually be a good opportunity to address such matters, such issues. And again, there's the illumination, right? There is the realization of, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for so long, or I didn't know that I've been putting my own needs first all this time. Now, let's also think about how Aries is tied to being generous. This is a very generous sign. It's a sign that stands up for the underdog. It's also a sign that um yes, has allies, but also can have enemies, because Aries has this attitude at times of being so direct, or feeling like they need to um, protect other people. That, of course, enemies can happen. If you rub someone the wrong way, or if you ruffle a few feathers and they don't like it, you may just gain an enemy, or someone may dislike you. But you see, the full moon in Aries is kind of illuminating these parts of ourselves where it's like, okay, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm not liked. You don't have to be liked by everybody, and that's okay. You know what? I did the right thing there. I was honorable. I stood up for what is the most honest thing to do. And that situation was unfair and unjust, and so it was what had to happen, in my opinion, this kind of attitude. So yes, Aries can certainly stand up for the underdog, and maybe it's bringing this illumination, so to speak, to do with these times in our lives, or thinking about how we can stand up for ourselves or advocate for ourselves. Yeah. So that's just a few. There are just a few keywords that I wanted to talk about to do with Aries. There was something else that I even wanted to mention. So this has been on my mind lately, and it may sort of go off track a little bit, but I just wanted to bring it up because I'm thinking about the new moons versus the full moons. So if we think about how, like I was saying a moment ago, everything collects. There is a collecting of sorts that happens, and then we arrive to the full moon, and the moon is full, right? It's full. It's glowing. It's reflecting the light of the sun, of course. But I think that after a full moon happens, because there's so much releasing involved, there's shedding involved. Of course, you think about how the full moon then starts to die down again until it gets to the new moon again. So it goes into its waning half, I suppose you could say, the waning side of it. And during the waning side, we tend to sort of allow things to die down a bit. We start to reflect and surrender. So what I find, I've experimented with this a little bit, but what I find is that after full moons, typically with me, I feel somewhat more tired. Is it lethargic? Is that the term? Where I'm just sort of like, okay, I'm just taking it all in. Of course, it depends on the intensity of the moon as well. I mean, eclipses are perhaps going to be even more powerful and potent, but yeah, that's what happens after the full moon, okay? You start to sort of allow things to die down a little bit, and you reflect and you surrender, and then we come to the new moon, and then from the new moon, you see, which we're right now we're experiencing the waxing crescent phase of the moon, and it's in Libra. I was actually born during a waxing crescent moon phase in Aries, but that phase, it's like we're building up again, right? We're starting to build up again, and we're starting to gather more energy again. And that building process can feel somewhat more energetic and lively, and we may feel more prone to want to get out and make things happen, or we may have a greater spring in our step. But basically, from that other half, so when we start to go through the waxing side. So there's the waning side after the full moon, and then the waxing side after the new moon. We're doing that right now, and so this, as we start to build up to the full moon in Aries, this could be a good opportunity over the next couple weeks or so, just to see how we feel and get an inkling as to what we might be shedding, right? What it is that could come up for us with respect to these Aries keywords, these Aries qualities that we've been discussing so far. And yeah, considering, right, okay, what may be coming up for you? And I always recommend journaling when it comes to the moon phases, especially. Journaling is definitely handy. And just taking note of little things that happen. Of course, it doesn't have to be where you journal every single day and it has to be like this consistent thing. It could just be little pieces of inspiration, little sparks of creativity that come to you. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that to do with the full moons and the new moons. It has been on my mind. Okay. Right. So this is where we're going to get into more information about this full moon. So the sun will conjunct Pallas, and then they will both oppose the moon. So we think just for a moment here about Pallas, okay? Pallas will be in Libra. Pallas is currently in Libra. So Pallas is strongly tied to our creative intelligence and wisdom. Pallas is actually, I would say, quite good at seeing the bigger picture or seeing patterns in things. Pallas can also look at how we can think in more strategic ways. It's so interesting to me because, right, you think about Mercury. So Mercury is tied to Hermes, right? So Hermes, Mercury, the messenger of the gods, right? So Mercury would deliver messages back and forth to and from the gods and the goddesses. And that is kind of like this it's symbolism for how there are messages that are often delivered back and forth within our brains. Okay. So if you think about how most of our thoughts are unconscious, right? Did you know that over 90% of our thoughts are unconscious? So with the other 10% or so, those are our conscious thoughts. Right now, what I'm having to do now, right? I'm having to retrieve information from my there's the subconscious part of it as well, right? But yeah, I'm having to retrieve information from my subconscious, my unconscious, and bring it forward into my conscious awareness, and so that I can speak, so that I can communicate. So this is the thing. This is what Mercury truly represents. Mercury is the bridge. Mercury is the deliverer between your conscious and unconscious world. And then when we think about Pallas, so this is why I think it's interesting about how Pallas is tied to strategic thinking, right? You think about a strategy, okay? You consider, what is the plan? Well, how can I strategize my speech? And Pallas, Athene, was born from Zeus's head. Yeah, she was born from Zeus's head. And that to me is just, when I think about strategic thinking and I think about the symbolism again, it's just like, right, okay, so wisdom, right? So if you think about Zeus, and Zeus is tied to Jupiter, Pallas is a piece of Zeus, right? So Pallas is tied to wisdom. Pallas is tied to the bigger picture and seeing the bigger picture, seeing the bigger patterns and things. But there is that greater strategy involved. Now, Pallas Athene was quite the warrior, actually. I'm pretty sure she beat Aries, the god of war. We think about Mars, right? The representations tied to Mars there, but she often beat Mars in battle. And Palace also strongly then looks at um the protection in a way, being able to fight. But this is about strategic fighting. This is the point. It's strategic fighting. So Palace in Libra during this full moon I think it's going to um, showcase how we can be somewhat more strategic in the face of opposition, in the face of arguments and disagreements, which is, I guess, can often be so difficult for the Aries part of it. Um, I think because Aries can just have this attitude of, no, I just want to move. I just want to move past this. I want it to be over with. I want to move forward. Um, but the Libra part of it, I think, is going to come along, and it's really going to get us thinking. It's like, right, be rational here, be strategic here. Even Mars in Libra is highlighting this. So yeah, I wanted to say that about Palace, which I think is interesting. So with the opposition to the full moon, it's going to add strategy, it's going to add creative intelligence, it's going to add wisdom. And then it's thinking, how can we meet in the middle? How can we find a common ground? How can we relate? Where do we relate? But then also, where do we differ? How do we behave whenever we are different or whenever we feel differently? It's like this whole thing of me versus we, or me versus you. And there can be so much contradiction that actually comes up during this full moon, if you even consider how Mars, being the ruler of Aries, is in Libra opposite. But in that way, relationships really are full of contradiction. And we as humans, we as peoples are very contradicting. So I think still this full moon is just going to illuminate, how we can, in a way, try our very best to find a common ground, but then also be able to go, right, okay, well, this is my view on this, and that's yours. Okay, right, respect that. Or being able to just be honest about what we can't really compromise on. And then asking ourselves, how is our identity supported? And what do you need to let go of as well regarding your sense of self? We can often get caught up in being right all the time. And this is the other thing, what has been coming up for me quite a bit lately. And I have friends in my life who have definitely inspired me in this way. Right. So you can imagine, okay, you're having a disagreement with your partner. This is just an example. And then you go to your partner, you go, you did this and you did that, you. Often what happens whenever we start pointing at another and putting all the blame on them, what happens is they then get defensive, right? So it's like, oh, someone's pointing the finger at you. You're going to be like, oh, like, so a lot of the times what happens is we then look at that as an attack, or we look at that as, I'm being blamed here. Hold on a second. It's not just me, right? And then what we can often do is go, hold on a minute. No, actually, but you, right? And so it's just you. But this is difficult to learn, to be honest. It can be challenging. But I think the important thing is being able to come from these statements of saying, I feel this way. This thing happened and I felt this type of way about it. And so what this does is, you know what it does? You know what it does? It gets us owning our emotions. It gets us owning ourselves, advocating for ourselves when we bring it back to us. Because it's our emotions are happening, and it's being able to own them and recognize them as a part of ourselves. And then the other thing with this is this whole thing of, when you could say, like, you made me feel this way, and you did that, and so It's all your fault, etc., etc. You made me feel this way. But the emotions belong to us, right? There are emotions. So yes, I statements, bring it back to the self, can perhaps help a lot. Yes. I just want to say, hello, Pernell. I hope you're doing well. You said that you're learning the blessing that tact represents. Yes, being tactful, being diplomatic, trying to be diplomatic. And I think, yeah, it kind of goes back to the whole thing of like, okay, this is my stuff, and trying to be even just somewhat, what's the word? Thoughtful or mindful that, okay, other people are going through their own experience as well. Eddie, you said it's a reflection. Yeah, often it is a reflection. We're going to get more into that, right? We're going to get more into the whole reflection piece, because the other thing that I've actually written on another slide is often, I'm saying this now because I feel the spark to do so, but often it's the people that are most like us that we dislike. Huh? The people who are most like us that we dislike. I think that's interesting. Okay, so what I was saying there as well is I just want to bring this back to a couple of moons ago. So there was that new moon in Aries that took place in March. So back in March, 0 degrees. Then there was the solar eclipse in Aries, 29 degrees. I just find that so mind-blowing that happened. That happened? What? And then the North Node entering Aries. Oh, anyway. So there was that 0 degrees, 29 degrees, both potent degrees, karmic degrees, critical degrees. And then there was also that new moon in Aries, which took place April 2022. So that was around 11 degrees. So with the new moon in Aries back in 2022, I know that's really far back, but can you perhaps remember what types of intentions you were setting back then? I wish I had my moon journal on me right now so I could have a little read through it. I forgot to do it before this session. But yeah, consider what intentions you were setting back then, because the thing about this full moon is that it's illuminating all of that, right? Things are coming to this go ahead, right? It's a moment of clarity, it's a moment of vision, it's a moment of reward. And this is also a moon which I think is then linked back to the new moon and the full moon. Well, sorry, the new moon and the solar eclipse that happened in Aries back in March. And April. Yeah, 3 moons in Aries in 1 year, plus the North Node moving into Aries. There's just a lot happening on a collective level when it comes to our identities. It's like we are growing. We're not so many of us are not going to be the same after this year. It has been full of so many challenges. We've been tested in more ways than 10. But you know what? With that, it's like, okay, it's time to revamp your life. It is time to glow up. It is time to change. Like, embrace the change, embrace it. And even the solar eclipse in Aries, this is like, right, significant changes, powerful changes, recognizable changes regarding our identity and our direction in life, and looking at our goals and our life path and the things that we're passionate about and the things that fuel us, like the fire, right? My moon in Aries is like, yes. Yes, passion. Come on, bring the passion. I am telling you right now, right? I'm just gonna draw from my own experience with this because I'm feeling it. Okay, when I first started getting into YouTube videos, making YouTube videos, especially the astrology YouTube videos, which, if you did not know, I made different YouTube videos before astrology. Yes, I did. I made videos on veganism. I made videos on fitness. I made videos on outfits of the day. Like, my gosh, whatever it was, like, I did it. But you see, astrology captured my heart. Astrology, it's just, I love it. So anyway, the whole thing is whenever I started making videos about astrology, I was so inspired. I was like, right, I was doing my script writing every day. I was reading books every day. It's every day, every day, every day. I was just like on it, on it, on it, on it, on it. Just the enthusiasm, the passion was there. And I'm going to be honest, over the past few years, my spark started just to dim a little bit. My passion started to dim a little bit. And I was like, gosh. And, it could be for many reasons, which I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to get into the reasons. But it did. It did. And I think that this year has sort of woken me up to reigniting my passion. Venus retrograde in Leo, people, with even the aspects to Chiron retrograde in Aries, even with the moons or the solar eclipse in Aries as well, the North Node moving into Aries. There was even the North Node Venus conjunct trine, right? North Node in Aries, Venus in Leo, the trine. Venus is still in Leo. We're in the post shadow period of Venus retrograde right now. So yeah, reigniting the passion. And this is what's been happening for me this year, where I'm like, oh, I feel fueled up again. Like I feel this enthusiasm again. And I'm really happy about that. And so consider what I'm saying within your own life in terms of what lights you up in life. Like what gets you going? Like what are you passionate about? Really, ask yourself, what are you so incredibly passionate about? Because this full moon Aries is going to come along. It's going to be like, right, okay, do you see this? Do you see it? Oh gosh, you know what? I was not the most motivated this morning. Even I went through a bit of a rocky patch throughout the day, and I just wasn't the most motivated. It could have been the whole thing of moon opposite Chiron retrograde in Aries. But now I'm like, yes, feeling good. I just want to take a moment and say hi, Angie. Hello from California, you said. Hello to you from Belfast. You have Palace in the 8th house. You said absolutely. We see our dark in others. Yes, it's so interesting, but it's so unconscious though, isn't it? So unconscious. Sonic, hi. I'm doing really good, thank you, Sonic. How are you doing? Are you having a lovely weekend? I hope you're all having a lovely weekend so far. I hope you're enjoying this presentation so far. Okay, so Mars conjunct the South Node opposite the North Node, square Pluto. Okay, can you say transformation, anyone? Right? We always got to think about transformation when it comes to Pluto activations. So Mars, like I said, is the dispositor of the full moon. Mars is in the opposite sign. Okay, yes, this can suggest conflict, tension, disagreement, right? Rivalry, sitting on the fence for too long, justice, compromise as well. And what are you not seeing? This kind of goes back to what you were saying there, Angie. We see our dark in others, but then this is a thing of like being in the dark. What are we not seeing? What is it that you find difficult to recognize within yourself? And this is the amazing thing about other people. Other people are like mirrors. People are continuously reflecting things about us and, well, also other things that aren't about us, right? It's like, okay, yeah, that I can see that. I can see that. That part, not so much. But then again, maybe you see it later on in your life, right? This is the whole thing about, the unconscious and growth and self-awareness. Things like journaling or going for therapy can be so insightful and so helpful, when you explore the unconscious. Astrology is an amazing tool for that as well. Being able to just look into your hidden facets? Is that the term? So that, yeah, like I said, disliking others who remind us of ourselves. We can feel like challenged by that. Or maybe there's certain things in other people that we don't like because we don't like them within ourselves. And so what we do is we're like, I don't like you. I don't like you. But maybe it's because we unconsciously don't like that thing in us. So then maybe is there something here about having to reflect more on ourselves and kind of go, hold on, why do I not like that about this person? Or why do I not like this about myself? But what I do want to say with this as well is this doesn't mean putting up with crappy behavior from other people. And also, it's like you don't have to force yourself to like someone. You don't, it's also okay not to like something that someone does, or It's okay not to like someone or not to like something, you're not going to force yourself to like chocolate ice cream if you don't like chocolate ice cream. You know what I mean? Just that was a silly analogy, but yeah, I hope that you get the point. It's also being able to just have being able to say, hey, I don't like this thing that is happening within this relationship. How can we maybe talk about this? Or how can we come together? How can we change this? But of course, the thing about this too is that you can't force other people to change either. You can't force them to change. It's like, if you have someone in your life and maybe they're going down a really dark path, maybe they're getting into drugs, they're addicted, or they're gambling, or they're drinking a lot, they're self-sabotaging, you can't force them to see unless they see it themselves. So yes, we can be like mirrors. We can reflect in a way, and we can support other people, but other people also have to do that inner work too. So what do we refuse to see within? Making the unconscious conscious. Is there anything in your life that doesn't fulfill you emotionally right now? Do you feel unsatisfied with something right now? Especially regarding a relationship situation, okay? Seeing as there's this Libra energy going on, or you know what? Regarding your individuality, your independence. How can you share your needs without pointing the blame? And then transforming, right? Think about the Pluto retrograde energy again with the square, transforming when it comes to being judgmental, the whole thing of putting the blame or judging other people for what they do. But it's the whole thing of like, are you being hypocritical right now? Is there some hypocrisy happening there? And that's useful, right? That is useful. We're not perfect people. And I think when it comes to these things that I'm talking about, it can actually be useful to recognize the parts of ourselves that may judge or be hypocritical, because we all, right? That's the whole thing about being hypocritical. Me saying that I think is hypocritical. It's just, it's like, because everyone can be hypocritical. We can all be hypocritical, right? It's like hypocritical of me to say, don't be hypocritical. Anyway, yeah, yeah. But the whole thing is like, yes, it's like, yes, okay, we can do these types of things, but whenever we know better, hopefully we can do better, and we can make more of this conscious effort to have more of this conscious decision making, and just trying to do our best to do the right by ourselves and right by other people. It's just trying to do our best. And I think that this is a full moon that's going to showcase these qualities. So Mercury will oppose Neptune, and Neptune will be retrograde, and then also it will trine Jupiter retrograde. So let's think about how Mercury was retrograde from the 23rd of August until the 15th of September. So it's in its post-shadow period up until the end of September. So this is a good opportunity for us to make sense of our projections and taking back what belongs to us. Notice these common themes that are coming up here. Letting go of what does not belong to us at the same time. Asking yourself, being honest with yourself, when do you turn a blind eye? When are you in the dark about something? Or when do you bury your head in the sand? Can you see that by facing yourself, you can grow stronger? The freedom that comes from humility and the ability to admit when we are at fault. That's quite powerful, I think. To be able to admit when we're at fault, to be able to admit whenever we're wrong about something, whenever we made a mistake about something. To be able to say, hey, you know what? I did that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then thinking here, this is mine and that is yours. Emotional boundaries. emotional maturity. Saturn in Pisces has been so much about this and will continue to be about this. Conversations that make us feel comforted and safe. Forgiveness, empathy, understanding. Think perhaps about times when you can be punishing, right? We can often look back on our lives and think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then continue to punish ourselves for it mentally. This is all internally happening. It's not like the thing is happening still again in the present day. That's the thing. The mind can look back to those points. Our emotional body can also hold all of that. That's why it's important to, do breathing exercises, grounding techniques, again, going back to therapy, having amazing friends in your life who you can talk to, who you can be open and honest with. A lot of the past, of course, is held in our emotional body, and then our unconscious can sort of lead the way or run the show, and then we don't realize. So yes, forgiveness and grace, showing ourselves some grace. This could be a good full moon for this. And then Venus conjunct Juno square Uranus retrograde. So let's think about how Venus retrograde was from the 22nd of July until the 3rd of September. So this is the post-shadow period happening right up until the end of the month. We're mulling things over. We're reflecting. Surprising relationship changes. Keep in mind the 22-degree here, very potent in this way, with Uranus being 22 degrees, and then also Juno and Venus. Uranus has been bringing major epiphanies, waking us up, becoming aware of how we behave within our relationships, but also becoming aware of how we behave regarding our resources, our finances, our values, how we relate to other people, how we include ourselves in the group, seeing the truth and seeing the world completely differently. What did you see which you can no longer turn away from? Especially during the Venus retrograde. What came up for you that was like, oh, I see that. Frig, okay. And it's almost like you have a choice then. You have a choice. Do you continue to go about your life and just deny the thing that you saw? The thing that was made conscious? The thing that was unconscious made conscious? The thing that you woke up to? Do you continue to live your life just normal, so to speak, or whilst denying that thing ever happened? Or are you able to go, okay, I'm going to make a change then. Okay, I hear the message loud and clear. Hear it. This is how I'm going to change things moving forward in my life. This is how I'm going to be active about it. This is the other thing. Full moon in Aries. Active, being active, doing. Even the 22-degree point. It's a Capricorn degree. This is the master number. This is a master number, not the master number, but a master number. And Capricorn, right? Capricorn is very much about building. So when it comes to the whole thing of the epiphanies and becoming more aware, becoming more enlightened about how you relate or your values or your self-expression or self-love, etc., etc. Okay, time to steadily build then. Time to make things happen and to just go at it. Just steady does it. Be in it for the long haul. But the thing as well with Capricorn is that Capricorn, in my view, did you know, Capricorn is a highly spiritual sign. It is so spiritual. This is about combining the spiritual with the material. Capricorn, like think about the glyph, the symbol of Capricorn, right? It's the sea goat, right? A part of it is off the land, a part of it is off the water, right? So water, spirituality, emotion as well, sensitivity. Capricorn is so spiritual. So yeah, this I think is a good opportunity for us to look at both the material and the spiritual and to combine the two. And then this is also about looking at how we can free ourselves by choosing ourselves. And at the same time, seeing strength in numbers and community, looking at the give and take. looking at the types of groups and clubs that we're a part of, headed toward a brighter future, a better tomorrow with others by your side, possibly, or with the knowledge and understanding of I'm choosing myself. But of course, both can exist at the same time, just within different ways. Again, context. So let's move on to this ground water trine. So, like I said, Vesta will be in Cancer, Ceres will be in Scorpio, and then Saturn retrograde will be in Pisces. So, this energy, very receptive, sensitive, deep, introspective, considering how does this situation make me feel? Recognizing when we live in the unconscious and how our body plays a major role in how we respond. Any trapped emotions, blocked emotions, what do you suppress? What do you hide? This is a good full moon to come out of hiding. Come out of hiding. And, this could also be a full moon where we're grieving a situation, right? So if you consider Ceres, for example, Ceres is okay. Well, if I could get into the mythology of Ceres, but you know what? I do have a video about the mythology of Ceres, so I recommend watching that video. There's the Ceres through the signs video on the channel. But in a nutshell, Ceres does have these ties to the underworld, to the unconscious, and Ceres being in Scorpio especially emphasizes this. It highlights, okay, right, vulnerability, any hidden weaknesses, any unresolved trauma, their realizations and realities, so to speak, or just looking at separation, looking at loss, looking at what is painful, looking at what feels sore, what are you struggling with emotionally? Okay, just to kind of bring this to a personal experience in this way. The 29th of September is pretty much on point with the anniversary of, my father died on the 30th of September / 1st of October. I think it was either there or the 1st to the 2nd of October, but it basically the end of September coming into October, right? So that was 2 years ago, and yeah, it's crazy how, those feelings they do start to come up to the surface. Well, I have been feeling them. And the thing about it is, it's like I don't even have to be thinking about my father consciously. I will just put on a song, for example, and then I'm becoming emotional, and then I think, "Oh, right, okay, yeah, I'm getting emotional because it's the anniversary of my dad's death," So yeah, it can be difficult, but it's also it's also a good opportunity for me to reflect on my dad's life and the relationship that I had with him. So anyway, this full moon could very well highlight some sensitivity and emotion. Yeah. So moving on. How we react in the present is often tied to how we were treated in the past. Hmm. Hmm. Kind of going back to how emotions play such a major role when it comes to how we respond. Protecting ourselves, emotional resilience, working through a heavy situation, trust, commitment, feeling, healing. Yeah. There's this water going around during this full moon. There's water in the sky, which does not make sense at all. But you know what I mean. The water signs are activated during this full moon, so do keep that in mind. And then, as I was saying earlier, the moon is of course the ruler of Cancer. So this full moon is the dispositor of Vesta. Okay, so yes, it could very well be that there are elements of this full moon that are family focused, security orientated, thinking here about how to self-soothe, how to comfort ourselves. Then lastly, I want to point your attention toward how Saturn retrograde is opposite Black Moon Lilith. This could be like a rude awakening, facing our shadow. My gosh, there's a lot of shadow work going on during this full moon. Whoa, a lot. Okay, how do you portray yourself? Keep in mind again, 29 degrees, Leo, Lilith will be entering Virgo in October. There's going to be a video about Venus and Lilith in Virgo coming. So yeah, consider what you have learned, whilst Lilith was in Leo or has been in Leo, especially during the Venus retrograde. Okay. How did Venus retrograde shape you? This was no normal average Venus retrograde because Lilith was involved in it. Okay. And Lilith does not mess around. Lilith is like, okay, right? How deep are you willing to go here? I even know for me, right? During the Venus retrograde, I cried so much. And you know what? It was great. It's great. It's great to let out all that emotion. And you know what that emotion was strongly tied to? It was tied to my inner child. And I watched loads of Disney movies and I thought, you know what? Yes, this is reminding me, these movies are reminding me of so much in my life, and I'm having all these memories. But it was so good to just release. Do you know when you just store so much emotion and then you start to cry? And I know there are some people out there who don't cry, but you ever get it where you have a good cry and it's a good loud cry, it's a good sob. It's not the nicest at the time. No, it's not, because you're sad, like you're in pain. It can be very painful, especially when you think about the heart tied to Leo and something that's like painful in your heart. You can feel it in your chest and you're crying. But what a release. What a release. Afterwards, you're just thinking, I needed that. You know what? I needed that cry. Yeah, and I'm not laughing, but like someone said to me recently, like, why are you laughing? I'm like, I'm not like laughing at the thing where I'm talking about. I don't know, maybe it's a nervous thing. I'm not sure. Right, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I just laugh sometimes, and it's not that I'm laughing at someone or whatever, but anyway. Okay. So what did you revisit regarding your inner child? Saturn retrograde also invites emotional depth, spiritual growth, spiritual healing. Is healing, great word. Emotional liberation, perhaps through the likes of film, media, art, photography. Freeing ourselves from the shackles of blame, guilt, shame, punishment, going back to the Neptune opposite Mercury stuff I was talking about earlier. And again, this is about giving ourselves some grace, patience. How are you to know? How are you to know? And I think that goes back to the whole thing of that kind of childlikeness to do with Leo. How, if given the knowledge and information you know at the time, that's how you're going to react or behave. And then also, if you think about just naivety, and often when we make a mistake, it's because we didn't know better, but then you make the mistake and you learn from it, and then you do know better, and then you can make better decisions after. Yes. So I think this could be a full moon that reminds us of this, and having the ability to show ourselves some type of compassion, self-compassion. I think Saturn in Pisces has really highlighted the importance of self-compassion and just holding space for our emotions. Okay, so that's basically all of the aspects that I want to talk about today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying this presentation. But we're going to get into your horoscopes. We are going to get into horoscopes, and I'm just going to go over to the site. Angie said, hello, all. Sonic checking in from La Cali. Just post it up in the studio. Mm-mm-mm. My thoughts on Vedic versus Western. I have a video about the schools of astrology. You can check that out. I talk about those things briefly. Well, I actually explain them both. You heard a statement on TV that crying has psychological relief that you know what does for some. Self-pleasing blushing. It has a psychological relief. That makes sense. Water in the sky here, drizzle. Oh, jeez. Yeah, yeah, I'm not even, I feel quite embarrassed for saying that. I was like, water in the sky, but I was visualizing, like, in space with the stars and the constellations. Like, yeah, I know, rain, of course. Hello, Hannah. Is this brain working today? Is it working today? Okay. Oh, it's always good to laugh. It is. Okay. So, full moon in Aries. Aries, let's talk about you. So, this full moon is going to happen in your first house. Okay, Aries. So, I think that during this full moon, of course, you're going to be shedding old skin here to do with your direction. I think that leading up to this full moon, there has been a lot of focus on so if we think about Mars, which is the ruler of your chart ruler. Mars is the dispositor of this full moon, of course, but yeah, leading up to this full moon, I think that you've been trying to really make sense of how you approach your relationships and how you can be somewhat more fair or cooperative, or considering here how you can be more diplomatic or approach things in a much more diplomatic way. But at the same time, I think this full moon is then going to illuminate all of this stuff, or just it's going to highlight what you have learned over the past few weeks, especially, and also what you will continue to learn over the next few years, as the North Node is in your sign up until 2026, well, the end of 2025. So yeah, I think for you, you are leaning more toward, okay, your goals, your aspirations, your aims, what you want out of life. And the full moon is going to come along and it's going to go, right, okay, here's some rewards, or this is what you have been learning, or this is some clarity here. Great. But just at the same time, consider the balance, right? Consider as well other people, how you can lead as an individual, but also how you can join in with others, and to consider your partnerships there too, with the South Node also in Libra. Okay, Taurus. So Taurus, the full moon is going to happen in your 12th house. So if we firstly think about how Mars opposite has been in your 6th house, well, over the past few weeks, I think that Taurus, you've been trying to make more sense of the balance that exists within your working environment, or with respect to your everyday life, and seeing, where is it that you lean too far toward one side or the other side, or looking here at being somewhat more diplomatic and reasonable and rational with coworkers. But then the full moon, here in Aries at the end of the month, I think is going to just bring things to I think things are going to get to a point where it's like, right, okay, I really do need just to be on my own for a bit. I need to recalibrate. I need to really consider what I need, what I want. And of course, with the North Node also being in your 12th house up until the end of 2025, I think this is going to be a time period of you spending more time on your own, or going behind the scenes, or trying to tap more into your spiritual values, your spiritual principles. But yet, the Libra part of it is also highlighting that you don't have to go at it alone. And that also, if if you think, if you're secluding yourself, if you're isolating yourself, maybe it's being able to also see, right, there are other people in my life who I can talk to. Is there someone or other people who can support you? But yeah, I just think that the thing with this, especially with Chiron as well, also being in your 12th, is just maybe be cautious of just pushing other people away, right? And maybe the full moon is going to bring some of these perhaps unhealthy coping mechanisms to the forefront for you, Taurus. And that may be quite helpful, actually. And then the other thing with this too is just considering health, right? You think about the 6th house being activated strongly for you, then also the 12th house. I think it's so much about your health and your well-being, not just your physical body, but also thinking about your mental health and your emotional world there. And it could even be that there's a lot of shedding regarding something very emotional and sensitive for you during this full moon. Okay, Gemini. I'm just going to take my glasses off. Okay. Gemini. So this full moon is going to happen in your 11th house. So for you, if we think about how things have been accumulating with the Mars energy in your 5th house over the past few weeks, I think what you've been trying to make sense of is how you can manage your energy levels more strategically with respect to your hobbies, your forms of enjoyment, your pleasures, just the things that light you up and make you feel excited, okay? Maybe you've been making more room for these areas, especially over the past few weeks. But then I think at the same time, with the North Node with the full moon rather being in Aries and taking place in your 11th house toward the end of the month, I think this is going to bring to the forefront how it is that you wish to show up as an individual within your networks and your communities and your teams. See, with the North Node even being in your 11th house right up until the end of 2025, this will be a good way for you to see, right, how is it that I can be a leader? This doesn't necessarily have to be where you are, leading the cause or being the one who is directing everything. It's just more so looking at your individual role, okay, and how you lead within that specific role within the team. So I think there is a big emphasis, a big focus upon your role within the group. And that's going to come to a head approaching this full moon. And perhaps you'll even shed old skin tied to these areas. But then at the same time, with the South Node being in Libra in the 5th house, maybe there are some artistic qualities that you can bring to the group. Maybe there are some fresh ideas, or you can even bring your diplomatic approach to the group as well. There could be just more information that you can communicate, which can be really helpful, that can lead the way forward for others and support others. Think about this whole notion of being a team player. Just going to have a bit of water. Oh gosh, I can't believe I said that. I just not over it. I'm not over it, Angie. Water in the sky. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Water in the sky. But yeah, rain. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my God, this is the beauty about being live, right? You say these things and you can't just edit it, right? You can't take it back. Damn it. But no, in my defense, and I know I'm just explaining myself for no reason, I was visualizing like the constellations and I was thinking about water in space. I suppose water can still be in space, right? I don't know. I just need to zip it right now and have my water. Okay. The cat is currently outside, just chilling on the windowsill. Right. Cancer. Okay, Cancer. So this full moon is going to happen in your 10th house. All right. So a lot will be illuminated, of course, with respect to your professional life, your career. But the thing is, of course, is we got to think about Mars opposite. It's not opposite by aspect, but still by sign. Mars has been in your 4th house for the past few weeks, and it has been ushering in a time period of you really focusing on the balance with respect to home and family, how you can manage your energy levels well at home, thinking here about when you overdo it, thinking about how you can invite more relaxation or greater moments of peace. And then also, it could just be that you've been somewhat more active within the home or active regarding family matters. And it's almost like you are the one in the middle. You're the one who's always having to be diplomatic and fair and reasonable. But you see, the full moon in Aries at the end of September will invite this illumination tied to how you show up within your profession. And even with the north node being in your 10th house up until the end of 2025, no, end of 2024. Oh gosh, yeah, I do apologize. It's at the end of 2024 with the north node. Okay, it's coming into 2025. Oh, my mistake, everyone. Just want to clarify, just need to clarify this. But the nodes, right? The North Node will be in Aries up until the end of 2024, coming into 2025. So, right, just wanted to clarify that. I'll probably put a little edit down below. But my apologies. So yes, with the North Node being in your 10th house up until the start of 2025, there is a bit of greater focus on leadership and how it is that you show up within your career, and thinking here about any promotions, or let's even think about other parts of the 10th house. Okay, so looking at your purpose and what you are here to do in a way, or what you feel called to do. And that could be something that you're so completely passionate about. This could be about something quite creative or adventurous or risky, very daring. So yeah, the full moon is going to bring things to a completion, or there's going to be a release, a reset. Perhaps you'll even close chapters to do with these areas. And then, of course, it's moving forward with greater clarity there. But at the same time, just consider how it is that you can also balance things between your home life, your family life versus your professional life. Okay, Leo. So, Leo, this full moon is going to happen in your 9th house. So this looks at clarity regarding your beliefs, clarity regarding any long distance travel, further exploration, further knowledge, how it is that you wish to explore, how it is that you wish to broaden your horizons there. But then with the Mars energy, so Mars has been in your 3rd house over the past few weeks. So this has been a good time for you to have these diplomatic conversations about partnership and give and take and what you want out of a situation versus what other people want out of the situation. But you see, I think the full moon is going to highlight just your individuality more, okay? How it is that you wish to teach or broadcast or share. And I suppose in a way standing out a little bit. And Leo, you do typically stand out without meaning to. So yeah, standing out. And then let's also remember how the North Node will be in Aries up until the beginning of 2025. And so yeah, that can be a good opportunity for you to just think about, okay, what are my beliefs? So what are the beliefs I have about myself, and how is it that I wish to grow when it comes to further training? Even just furthering yourself, taking on new training programs tied to leadership, perhaps tied to coaching, for example, as well, tied to fitness as another example. Okay, lecturing, teaching others. And so the full moon, I think, is going to be a good opportunity for you to gain more clarity about the next step. And at the same time, with the South Node being in Libra as well, just remember how it is that you can communicate in a more reasonable way, and how it is that you can approach people with this more fairness involved, or trying to make sure that you consider your options, you consider what's available to you, okay, rather than just kind of jumping forward or being impulsive or going for the next best thing. Just take it back a little bit and go, let me consider this, think it through. Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, this full moon is going to happen in your 8th house. And so for you, Virgo, I think that this full moon is really, it's going to actually give you an opportunity to release what is no longer serving you, actually, when it comes to being impulsive, when it comes to constantly like doing and pushing or using force to get what you want. I think this could even be a big theme for everybody during this full moon. This could be a good lesson that we've to learn, that Aries can offer us, in that let's try and not force things. Let's try and not push for things and insist on having our way all the time, even though the North Node is in Aries. But yes, for you, I think, Virgo, these themes are going to be highlighted, especially on a very deep, like psychological level, or even looking at your unconscious here, on how you can unconsciously be this pusher, this doer. Reminds me of the thing from Mean Girls, which again, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say it. But yeah. And then also Mars being in your 2nd house over the past few weeks. Well, I think this has been providing you with some, I would say, some more energy. Energy and motivation and drive regarding your resources, your skills, your materials, your earnings, your spending habits. This could be a time period where It's like, right, okay, I'm going to finally start saving. I'm going to finally start saving. I'm going to finally start doing something about my financial position here. And even seeking advice or counsel or feedback from others can be helpful. Still, the North Node, of course, being in Aries up until the beginning of 2025. Uh, Now I'm starting to get second guess myself. Like, which date did I say earlier? It doesn't matter, Hannah. I'm like, listen, I am a Virgo. Just little details just trip me up. Uh, anyway, back to you, Virgo. Little details just get me sometimes. So yeah, the North Node being in Aries up until the beginning of 2025 will be a good opportunity for you to be a pioneer when it comes to, well, any unresolved trauma, thinking about psychotherapy, thinking about vulnerability here. Okay, any emotional blockages that, I mean, they could very well come up for you during this full moon as well, Virgo. And yeah, I think it's just highlighting, okay, time to let that go. But then the other thing about this too is thinking about shared resources and certain investments or loans or debts, anything you need to pay off. Yeah, the North Node here in Aries can highlight what you're paying off, so to speak. And then at the same time, with the full moon happening, okay, it's going to illuminate these matters too. And then with the South Node as well, just consider, okay, that people are still a part of your journey too. All right. People are going to help you out, right? It's almost like, yeah, there's people that are helping you out. Yeah. Shaylee, you say yay, how exciting, and then it's like a disappointed face. Yay. Yeah. Uh the inner work is not the most, I suppose it's not the most exciting often in life, no. Um but it's, it's all part of it. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break. Just going to have some water. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, you're being sarcastic. Okay. Okay. It's hard to pick up on messages, isn't it? Okay. But hi, Shaylee. I hope you're having a good day so far. Welcome. Whew. All right, I need to get my mojo back, okay? I am losing my mojo right now. Come on, shake it off. I need to shake it off. I don't know. I've been like this all day. Like, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, the moon is doing something today. Like, I don't want to blame the moon though. I don't want to just blame. I'm not trying to blame, okay? I'm not trying to blame. Just it's communicating how I'm feeling using the moon. That's probably a better way to put it. But yeah, mojo. All right. Shaylee, thank you so much. It's very nice of you. And Angie, thank you so much. I hope that you're benefiting from these horoscopes. You find them to be useful, that they can be a good tool. Yes. Right. Let's move on to Libra. Okay, Libra. The full moon is going to happen in your 7th house. So this is going to eliminate all of the relationship work, partnership work, how it is that you meet other people, how it is that you see yourself in other people, what's being reflected back to you from other people, what's being mirrored to you from other people, any projections when it comes to relationships as well. There's a reset here, there's a releasing happening here. This is about you sort of going, I'm owning my emotions within this situation. Even the North Node being in your 7th house up until 2025. Well, this is a time period where it is very much about, okay, right, this is about me taking back what is mine. And if it is that, that you're tangled up in any codependency, or if you're tangled up in perhaps being so concerned about other people's needs that you forget about your own needs. This is a good opportunity for you to really reconnect with what it is that you need, and considering even how it is that you show up as an individual within your relationships. Now, of course, Mars has been in your first house over the past few weeks. So I think this Mars energy in your first house, honestly, I think it's highlighted just some tension and conflict and disagreement happening, especially regarding unfairness or things being unjust, and you just sort of having enough of a relationship situation, or you just getting to this breaking point of like, I don't want to do this the way this I don't want to do this way anymore. Or this is the way I need to assert my will right now. This is the way I need to assert myself right now. So, sure, yes, Libra, you're very much about being diplomatic and tactful and fair, all the rest of it. But you also, you know your limits. You know your limits, and you know what you can and cannot tolerate from other people. So maybe Mars has been highlighting these things more so for you. Even during this full moon, such things will be more so illuminated and highlighted. Strong emotions perhaps may come up as well, but of course, the thing is, the South Node is still there. So, whilst yes, there's all of the relationship side of things going on, the South Node is still there, and it is saying that you still have the ability to use your gifts and skills of diplomacy. Okay, and you can still be somewhat more rational and level headed. You can think things through. Just maybe this is highlighting just a little time period to yourself, perhaps, Libra, or a time period to cool off a bit, or to let off steam, or to walk away from a situation just for a little while and then come back to it. Come back to it with greater clarity, or to even just get some questions answered. Scorpio. So, Scorpio, this full moon is going to happen in your sixth house. So, what's going to be strongly illuminated for you are these matters to do with your health, first and foremost, I would say. So, thinking about health, thinking about your schedules, your routines, looking here at being, of course, a leader, as you do, a leader at work. But how can you set time aside for yourself? And how fairly are you treated even by certain coworkers and colleagues and bosses, etc.? I even think for you, Scorpio, with Mars having entered your 12th house over the past few weeks, I think a lot of you have been choosing to remove yourself from the public eye for a bit, or choosing more time off, or choosing to just go inward and to do more of that inner like reflection, or going through some sort of healing or emotional work there. Or perhaps it's been a time period of you really considering, okay, balance, like greater harmony, and reconnecting more with that harmony in your life. But again, out of the public eye. And so I think the full moon in Aries is going to bring to the surface, it's going to illuminate how it is that you are a pioneer, how it is that you are an individual when it comes to your everyday life. Now, the North Node, of course, will be there in the sixth house up until 2025. So I think this will be a time period of you actually choosing yourself when it comes to your work and your services, choosing yourself when it comes to your health, making like these these different decisions when it comes to work. And again, I think it comes back to what it is that you need. And at the same time, whilst the South Node is in Libra in your 12th house, working through those hidden facets, those hidden parts of yourself that I think I think there's something here about the hidden part of you, Scorpio, that can be fearful of perhaps vulnerability or connection, or can be afraid of letting people get too close at times. But then again, maybe this is what you've had to learn throughout your life, and maybe it's not even about fear. Maybe this is actually about trust and honesty. But still, perhaps the South Node is highlighting also that time period of you just going back and forth a little bit about, okay, can I trust such and such, or how does that make me feel when I'm with such and such, or I'm entering a new chapter of my life and these are the emotions that are coming up, and how are these emotions tied to the past, how are they tied to how I was raised, what happened there within your family dynamics, considering these things. Okay, Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this full moon is going to happen in your 5th house. So for you, what's going to be illuminated, of course, are these matters to do with children, I would say, first and foremost, possibly reaping rewards when it comes to hobbies you have or forms of enjoyment and pleasures that you enjoy. A reset, even when it comes to fun and play and entertainment. And of course, the thing about you, Sagittarius, is when you love something, you love it. You love it. And it's so much about how you feel. It's about the self, okay? Of course, Aries in the 5th, the self. So yeah, I think the full moon is going to illuminate these areas for you, or things are going to come to a head, or there's going to be some chapters that are closed, or you're going to reap rewards. But the Mars energy has been in your 11th house over the past few weeks. And I think that has been bringing up these questions about how it is that you show up within the group, and how it is that you lead within the group, and would you like to lead? And then also how it is that you can showcase fairness amongst team members within organizations, within clubs that you're a part of, and just having the ability to manage things, or to go back and forth, or just I just see this as you going back and forth, considering your options, like really taking your time to consider your options, to consider what the next step is. And with the North Node also being in your 5th house, and the South Node in the 11th house up until 2025, well, let's think about how over the next few years, there's going to be a lot coming up for you when it comes to how assertive you are with respect to your hobbies and your passions. And even thinking about romance and love, and again, children, right? But just also, this is about remembering the part of you that is quite gifted and skilled at being that team player, trying to balance these two parts of the chart when it comes to the nodes. But basically, I think the North Node, or sorry, the full moon, of course, is going to illuminate these matters. And I just want to mention as well, just to keep in mind that there are eclipses happening in Libra and Aries over the next few years as well. So just collectively, again, everyone, there are significant changes going on to do with your Aries and Libra houses. All right, so let's move on to Capricorn. So Capricorn, this full moon is going to happen in your 4th house. All right, so all the usual things, Capricorn, to do with family and home. This has been going on quite a bit for you, of course, especially with the North Node having entered Aries this year. It will continue to be there up until the beginning of 2025. So yeah, the full moon is going to illuminate family matters and what it is that needs to be let go of, and what you would like to reset, and perhaps what it is that you have gained even with respect to family, what has changed for you with respect to family, even thinking about the type of home that you live in and any strong emotions tied to that, any chapters that you're closing. I mean, like moving house or relocating or making your space bigger or adding to your space, redecorating, or looking even at a new family member being brought into the home, these types of things. We're even looking at the type of relationship that you have with your mother or your father, your grandparents, and how that may really change for you over the next few years. But yeah, the full moon is going to illuminate these areas. And at the same time, Mars has been in your 10th house over the past few weeks. So I think this has a great deal to do with responsibility and achievement and accomplishment. I think, especially responsibility over another person, especially having to consider what your options are with respect to your purpose and your mission and your life's work and what you're here to do and what you feel called to do. So, yeah, a lot has been happening in this way for you. And perhaps you've been called to act a lot, right? Like to take action a lot and to consider, okay, being diplomatic, being fair with members of authority, being fair with your parents, being diplomatic and fair with grandparents, all these areas. So yeah, I think with the North Node being in your fourth house up until the beginning of 2025, we're going to notice these reoccurring themes and these patterns for you, Capricorn. And there's a lot that you're implementing and you're integrating with respect to being a leader, being a leader at home, being a leader at your core. And at the same time, the South Node being in your 10th house, it's like, right, okay, what can you bring forward? What can you bring forward when it comes to authority and responsibility and duty and respect, and doing so in these fair, reasonable ways? Okay, going to take another drink of water. So we're on to Aquarius next, and then Pisces. Sonic, I noticed that you say that you have a question. So, you say your question is that Placidus and whole sign systems change in your Mars layout. The first Placidus, first the whole signs, and the second. Which do I recommend for predictions? Okay, so I think I can answer this one because it is more of a collective question. So, Placidus, whole sign, Mars goes in the first house in your Placidus, but in the whole sign, it's in the second. Oh, okay. Well, to be honest with you, it depends on your rising sign. And yeah, maybe that is something that so basically, just to give clarity, it is $10 per question, Sonic. If you do want to ask a question specifically about your chart, it is $10 per question. I thought that was more of a kind of collective question there, but it does seem like it's a bit more specific to you. But just to answer briefly in terms of Placidus versus whole sign, so okay, so Libra. Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh yeah, that would be something because Placidus versus whole sign could change. That could change the dynamics of things. For me personally, to think about this, I would just go with the one that, well, to be honest, I would go for whole sign. I would recommend using whole sign, the whole sign system, especially when looking at predictions. I find it to be the most useful, the most beneficial. But I have heard of others who would go by their actual chart in terms of the Placidus part of it. So for example, you could have someone who has a Libra rising. You say you're Libra rising, but it's very late degree Libra rising. So you may read for the Scorpio rising horoscopes because that more aligns with your houses, etc. So in that way, you could just read for both and see, but I do tend to lean more toward whole sign. Yeah, but everyone's different, right? Everyone's different. You get some astrologers who would think differently or who would read more the Placidus chart. Hello, David. Welcome. How are you doing? Welcome to this chat. So we're on to Aquarius now. Right. So Aquarius, notice how it's getting quite dark now? It is getting quite dark in here. That's something I'm definitely going to miss about summer. The bright nights, brighter days, longer days. Like that about summer. All right. Yes, Sonic, you said okay, thanks. You wanted to see your perspective on that. Yeah. I mean, as I say, I would typically go for full sign just for predictive reasons, but of course with Placidus, often people also, there's so many people that actually relate to their Placidus. I think when it comes to high systems in general, there's so many, right? It's not just Placidus versus whole sign. There's Porphyry, there's Coke. Is it Koch? Yeah, there's so many high systems, and because there are so many, I think that's why it is just useful to go with what really does relate to you the most, because you could just go back and forth, and trying to explore them all, and like, yeah, that could take some time. It really could. But I do go back to whole sign because I find that is the most accurate that I find, and it's also, I think it's the most easiest in terms of doing horoscopes. I think it just the way things line up, it's a bit easier. All right, and the reason why, by the way, it lines up easier is because the sign is within the whole house. That's why it's called the whole sign system. Okay, so moving on, let's go to Aquarius. So, Aquarius, this full moon is going to happen in your third house. So, for you, Aquarius, what's going to be eliminated is how it is that you communicate in terms of, right, can you maybe be very forthright or direct when it comes to communication? Is it that you need to take a beat, you need to take a moment when it comes to communication, or you need to think about what you're saying before you say it? Or perhaps what will be illuminated for you will be these matters related to your neighborhood, related to perhaps relocation, right? So maybe you want to relocate. Maybe what comes to the forefront a great deal during the full moon is like, right, okay, I feel called to move somewhere different or to a different area. Or it could be that you take some time to explore within your immediate environment, or to study something new, or to look at what you're already studying and seeing what can be added there. How you can become more in tune with your passions, what excites you intellectually. And then over the past few weeks, Mars has been in your ninth house. So I think this further adds greater exploration. Okay, I think this further adds your willingness and readiness to teach and share, and to broadcast what you know, and to train more, to gain more knowledge. But I think this is about being, of course, reasonable, rational, thinking things through, not just jumping forward for the sake of it, just taking your time and seeing how things go. Maybe your patience has been tested a little bit, Aquarius. It's kind of funny because I've been watching some Aquarius reels, and many of them have said that Aquarius is just not a patient sign, and I could not agree more. Aquarius energy is not the most patient. Yeah. So yeah, this could be a time period during this full moon where it's like, right, okay, time to practice greater patience. Now the North Node also will continue to be in your third house up until the beginning of 2025. So that this transit invites how you, so it suggests how you can be more of a doer, more of a go-getter when it comes to studying, informing, communicating. I just even see this as you becoming somewhat more confident in your communicative skills, and doesn't even necessarily have to be that you become better or that you improve. It's just that you have the, the courage. The courage, right? The courage to go up and talk to that person, or the courage to hold space within a conversation and to take up room within a conversation. Say I'll say that was something that my psychotherapist often says in therapy, and it's like elbows out, right? Think about it. You're in a conversation and you really want to say something. You're like, right, elbows out, time to get stuck in, communicate, speak your piece, get it off your chest, say the thing. Yeah, I think this will continue to be a big theme for you, Aquarius, over the next couple of years. And at the same time, though, do remember that with the South Node in Libra, it's also asking you to be mindful, mindful as well with your words. Not just saying something for the sake of saying it. Just consciously, deliberately choosing your words. Or really considering, right, okay, how is what I'm saying, how is that going to be delivered? How am I delivering it to others? Yeah, just being mindful. And even considering how other people are also involved in the conversation, and you can gain wisdom from other people's feedback, even if you're wrong. Even if you make a mistake, Aquarius, even if you're wrong about something, which I know, Aquarians, you don't like to be wrong. Okay, I am an Aquarius. I do not like I don't like being wrong. I really don't like the feeling of looking really dumb or like an idiot. I don't like it. I don't like it. But hey, I can be silly and goofy and idiotic sometimes, and perhaps this full moon is saying own it. Own it. Though I just think it's funny as well, because there's so many reels as well about Aquarius with just this attitude of Aquarius in 2023 of I do not give an F. It's that attitude. Aquarius doesn't give an F. Oh, does Aquarius really care? You'll never know. You'll never know. That's the mystery. That's the surprise. Okay, so we're going to move on to the final sign, and that is Pisces. Just want to say, others who are asking questions, so it's actually $10 per question. I just wanted to briefly answer that question because I felt like it would be useful. So for everyone collectively, yeah. And I didn't really go into too much detail with it either. I actually do have a video about house systems, by the way, so you can check that out. The house systems video. I was just really going by what came to the top of my mind briefly. But yes, it is $10 per question, and we'll be asking, you can ask questions at the very end. It's completely up to you if you want to ask a question, but just to let you know. And then serendipitous agenda. Hello, hi, welcome. Welcome to this live stream. I'm actually going to have a little bit of water, and then we'll get on to the last sign. Okay, last sign. Pisces. Okay, Pisces. So this full moon is going to happen in your second house. So what's going to be illuminated for you are matters tied to your self-worth, matters tied to your skills and your talents, matters tied to your financial position, your earnings, okay? How it is that you make money. So it could be that you close some chapters, you release, you shed, you let go of a financial situation, or you release a financial situation that's more habitual. It's like, right, okay, that's a pattern that can no longer continue. Time to let that go, time to move on. But then at the same time, you see Mars has been in your 8th house for the past few weeks. And I think Mars in your 8th house over the past few weeks has been bringing up more of a like this courageous energy, this bravery tied to intimacy and feeling, tapping more into the unconscious, becoming acquainted with your unconscious, so to speak. Uh, Wanting to really understand your inner workings and what it is about you that desires cooperation. You know, I think with you Pisces, with Libra in your 8th house, there is a big part of this where you're someone who just you want people to get along, right? You stand for peace. You stand for tranquility. is perhaps a good word. To feel centered, to feel balanced within. But I think Mars has been highlighting maybe some tension, perhaps some conflict, perhaps something quite confronting, something quite confronting regarding partnership, togetherness, unity, compromise. But then you see the North Node, of course, being in your 2nd house up until 2025. This is going to be a good opportunity for you to, really think about, right, what is mine? What belongs to me, the self? What about my personal finances? What about my personal investments? Perhaps you'll even there's some type of, reward here. It's reaping rewards, reaping what you sow during this full moon. And this, of course, can be tied to a job, or it could be tied to a stream of income, how you budget, how you save, how you spend. But yeah, I think the North Node here in your 2nd house, yeah, it's going to highlight how you can be somewhat of a go-getter, somewhat of a doer with respect to your earnings potential and your security. And then at the same time, with the South Node in your 8th of 2025, this is also about considering the other side of this, where you're looking at shared resources, you're looking at joint finances, you're thinking about what you're tied to financially, what you share. It's about sharing, this is about commitment, this is about intimacy, this is about desire, this is about vulnerability. So yeah, it's also about looking here at the other side of it, where you're considering, okay, what are other people teaching me? What is it that my partner's teaching me? What is it that people I'm super close to, what are they teaching me? Especially if it is that you're super, super close to certain people in your life. You think about the 8th house in terms of vulnerability there, trust, commitment. Yeah, this could be a full moon that illuminates that connection as well. And it also illuminates how you as an individual play a role within your relationship connections. Okay, so that completes the horoscopes for the 29th of September. Happy full moon in Aries, everyone. And I know this one was quite early. I just wanted to get this video up earlier. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if any of you do have a question today, it is $10 per question. You can ask in the super chat. But if you don't have a question, that is also okay. Up to you. Completely up to you. Thank you, David. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining today. And yes, thank you all so much. Samantha, can I also look up at progressions for horoscopes? Do you know what? I've recommended this in the past. I have. So I'll tell you. Again, I'm answering this question because it's more sort of like collective. But so in the past, I have said this. And so, for example, I'll give you an example. In my natal chart, I have a Virgo rising, but my secondary progressed rising is in Libra. It's been there since I was probably about 15, maybe. But the degree, I can't remember the degree. Let me double check the degree actually of my my progressed rising. I'm actually curious now, but I'll just, while I'm searching it, I would read for my Libra I would read for Libra rising. So and you know what? It's usually very accurate. Uh, yeah, so I would recommend it. You know what? I know that perhaps some people would disagree with me on this, but I just think that why not just read it? You know what I mean? Why not just read for your secondary progression? Like if it really really does hit home with you, if it resonates deeply deeply with you, why not? Maybe it can suggest like confusion or it's maybe inaccurate or whatever, but I just think I just don't I just don't see the harm in it. Just reading it to see how it sits with you. Yeah, mine is at 6 degrees. My Libra ascendant was secondary progressed Libra ascendant, just to be specific. Yeah, 6 degrees. Okay, you said thank you. No problem, Samantha. Mac, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Samantha, as well for your question. Um, and thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mac, for your support there. And thank you for your support, Samantha. Yeah, so I think that's us, unless anybody else has a question. I have been contemplating whether or not to do like a Q&A, where we could do a live stream and you can ask me any question about astrology. But I think that Q&A would be more about, again, the bigger picture. It's not just about specifics, just within your chart, but just to ask questions about astrology. I think that would be really fun. But I think that's me. I think that's me too. I've definitely come to a place of like calmness now, steadiness, chilled. I'm like more chilled now. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know about Patreon, okay? Over at Patreon, access to videos earlier, PDF guides. So the videos that I make, you'll be able to have PDF guides to go along with them. And you can join the Patreon for as little as £2 per month. Okay, it's a really great way to support the channel. It's a great way to support the content here, to support Hannah's Elsewhere. Very much appreciated. But of course, no pressure. It's always your choice. Be lovely to have you there. And if you did enjoy this presentation today, you can always buy me a coffee. Okay. Or you can, of course, if you want a more personal, in-depth reading with me, you can book a reading with me by going to hannahselsewhere.com. And I do feel that, I'm definitely going to go off this live stream, right? I'm going I am going to beat myself up so much about the water thing earlier. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Jeez. Anyway, right. Thank you so much for listening today, everyone. I appreciate you. Pumpkin spice latte season and all. Woohoo! Yeah. Pumpkin spice season. Yeah. Frig, I was looking up the amount of sugar in one of those. Jeez. But hey, you gotta live a little sometimes. Yes. But anyway, thank you all so much. No, don't feel bad. It never rains here. Does it not actually? Never. Oh dear. It's so funny. But hey, you get what I meant earlier, right? I hope you get what I meant. Gotta get the energy for the answer somewhere. That is true, David. That is true. Yeah, I think I have two coffees a day as well, two coffees a day, but no sugar in them though. No sugar. But yeah, pumpkin spice latte just every now and then. It's great. It's great. Okay, Auntie, you said rarely. Okay. Well, it has been so lovely. Just thank you all so much for just chatting with me. It's always a joy just to chat and, to laugh, right? Just to laugh. Laugh, have fun, try and not take ourselves super seriously, just to talk about astrology, right? And to go over these moon cycles and that's it. It's always a pleasure to share this information, but it's more wonderful to speak with you in the chat, you know. You're gonna want to learn by water and space. Uh, that's exactly the point I was trying to say. By water and space. Because I said something about like water in the sky or something, and I said that doesn't make sense. And then but I was meaning like more with the constellations, but of course it rains. So yes, there is water in the sky, and Angie said that. Oh, just a silly half hour, David. Silly half hour. Tim, you said hello. Hello, Tim. You comment on most of my videos and you say hello and you say thank you. So thank you for your support, Tim. Hope you enjoy your horoscopes. So, and just overall, you know, I'm definitely going to go here. But just overall, I want to just say thank you all so much for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful evening, rest of your day, rest of your weekend, and have an amazing week ahead. And happy full moon in Aries coming up. Enjoy your horoscopes. And I will talk to you all very later. Bye.